How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the Q&A. Today we're joined with Mod Matt K.
Hello.
Mod Ghost.
Hello.
Mod Ed. Not Mod Ed. Mod Rock.
Hiya.
The other new guy, not so new anymore, Mod Ash.
Hello.
And myself, Mod Archie. Welcome to the Q&A. Today we'll be talking about Last Man Standing, in specific with the beta, as well as showing off the first raids boss. Very exciting stuff. Cool. Let's get right into it then. Meat Ghost says, can dungeoneering and sailing be combined into a singular exploration skill? It's had a lot of support, so I'll go a little bit more in depth. Or
For what it's worth, one of the original ideas for a raiding dungeon was that it would be a kind of underwater cavern that was half
right,
flooded. So the idea of going around it in a vessel that could let you travel on the water is not unreasonable. What's the player got in mind, though?
Sure, so this is just a little bit from it. It says, this would solve the problem of both of them feeling like mini-games. Randomly generate islands which may contain dungeons with scarce and unique resources and nodes and monsters. Sorry, resource nodes. Certain islands could be unlocked through skill progression, allowing new items to be introduced into other skills.
Some of that does actually sound familiar from the design of sailing as it was.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd find things on the islands, but I'm pretty sure a cave was one of the things you could indeed find.
Resource dungeon sounds very similar.
Also, Dungeoneering gave those kind of resource areas, like you could get to the island off the coast of Malta the Harmless or something.
Sure.
There was a thing on it that took you to a place with more trees for people who'd got the dungeoneering level. That kind of thing would have been entirely possible with sailing.
Yeah, I think the idea as a whole sounds kind of cool. I was a fan of sailing, I was a fan of dungeoneering, but obviously two very touchy subjects with our community.
Yeah, it's not quite sure. I mean, I suppose the difficulty is going to islands and then going into a dungeon, I guess, is what they're aiming to do.
Yeah.
I think if we want to do an exploration skill, maybe we've got to think about other ways of exploring. There was one game I played, I can't remember what it's called now, but effectively you got into a ship and what you did is you went around the coast searching for animals or famous types of plants or new things that you'd never discovered before, and they used that as an exploration type thing. You had to sail around the courses to do that.
As a skill, you attempt to explore the sea, you slip and miss the sea. You attempt to explore the sea, you slip and miss the sea.
You see, what they did, is what you got on your boat, you then employed a whole load of sailors, because you obviously need a crew to run your boat, so you employed a load of sailors who you then send ashore from your boat to go and search for things, and then some of them wouldn't come back because they got eaten by tigers and other such stuff. And then you have to keep going and replenishing your sailors and making sure you had enough food for them and do all that sort of stuff.
We haven't just run into RS3's ports, have we?
I don't know. I've never played the ports, I must admit. It could be a very similar. Does it sound a similar thing? Well, it seems a logical way of doing it, doesn't it? So yeah, I've never played the ports on RS3.
They look very pretty, but I like that when we produce another landmass, we actually let the player go to it.
Yes, I did make a nice video for it though.
They did.
Player in ports video was quite funny. If you haven't seen it, it's worth watching.
Just
because everybody makes a fool of themselves, and that's always good to see.
Good production on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, should we go to the next question then?
Yes, I think so. I think we killed
Sure.
that one.
It's an interesting idea, combining two skills. Didn't think of that, really. So, yeah, we can
If
look
we
into it.
combined woodcutting and fire making, we could kind of make things even quicker by having the entire forest just burned down.
All right,
we call it
into
arson?
chips. Next question, can you make the Ring of Coins available in free-to-play? This is very highly suggested since it's come out. So basically, it's the best cosmetic item ever, and it's one of the few that you cannot show off in free-to-play. Can you use like the Ring of Stone and Ring of Nature in free-to-play?
Didn't think so.
Okay.
But we have introduced a few purely cosmetic things or cosmetic versions of items with the same stats they'd already got. I think our rule is pretty much we wouldn't enable it in free-to-play if it suddenly had a lot more stats than anything else free-to-play could have been using. But for a cosmetic thingy like this, I wouldn't mind.
Yeah, let's see why not.
We could do it with the coins and the nature, but because the Ring of Stone is an onyx ring, that wouldn't quite work.
Yeah, that's a bit too valuable to be purely cosmetic, I think.
Okay, there you have
It
it.
does a lot.
Troll all the beggars and scammers
Indeed,
by the Great
yeah.
Exchange. Mr. MC says, can we please stop with all the new content? Exclamation mark. Please focus on improving existing content rather than making such huge updates every couple of weeks.
I don't think we actually do it every couple of weeks.
That's what I was thinking. What did we do today? It was pretty big. We you can get red dragons as a Slayer task. That's
Well, we do good content, but I mean, I suppose the big content he means, how often do we do raids? How often do we do a new continent? How often do we do
Clue Scroll expansion?
a new clear? I mean, we do something every 2 to 3 weeks. Every 2 to 3 months, sorry.
Yeah.
So we don't do it every 2 to 3 weeks, and new content is good because it brings more players to the game, and our aim is to have more players playing our game. The players' aim is to have more players playing the game, and that seems to be a good way of doing it.
Well, also, rather more pressingly, players sure do keep asking for it.
Indeed, yeah.
After all, there's a lot of quality of life requests, which, of course, we do quality of life stuff pretty much every week. But there's also requests for bigger things, and we do like to deliver some of those things. You are, of course, welcome to vote no on a poll if you don't like the thing we're offering at a given time, which you often have done. But we keep delivering updates because people keep asking for updates.
Yeah, well, we've done well over 1,000 updates now to the game.
That's a number, isn't it?
Yeah, it's well over 1,000, and 95% of what we suggest passes a poll, but 95% of them are small updates which are there to make the existing game better. So I think we do a hell of a lot more of them.
I think one of the
than other ones.
One of the top subjects on our subreddit at the moment is actually getting the Zaya map sorted out, and people clearly feel passionate about the new content we're putting out there enough to want to put their own stamp on it. So it definitely resonates with people, and I think there will always be people that don't want the game to change and would prefer us to focus more on the things that are currently there and improving them in a sort of like a minutiae sort of way. But I think at the same time we've also got to cater for a large bulk of our community at the same time.
I think you just won all of the Reddit karma.
Oh, really?
In the meantime, whenever the discussion comes up of a new skill, there's a lot of sentiment, and quite understandably so, that rather than having a new skill at all, maybe we could take the existing skills close to 99 with more content for them, because quite a few of them do stop way below 99.
Indeed, yeah.
Hunter is a pretty bad example, for example. Over the last year, you'll see we've done a lot more skilling updates than in previous years. When you kicked off 2016, there'd been almost nothing purely about skills added to the game. So we kicked off 2016 with a whole bunch of skilling updates all at once on Zaya. And we've had a few things since then as well, I believe.
Yeah,
Skilling boss coming.
There is indeed. I'm looking forward to seeing their design for that.
All right, next question then. Amateur Scaper says, can flower patches and berry bushes give more yield based on your farming level?
That rolls in quite nicely with Ash saying the skills moving them up to 99, because when you've got things like flowers and limpworts, they stop at level 30, at which point they're not a lot of XP either. So something like that would be beneficial to...
Yeah. Now, of course, with the fruit trees and flowers and such, like you pick it and you get the thing, or you see there's 6 apples on a tree, you click it 6 times, you got your 6 apples, the tree's empty. But it didn't have to be that way. Take the vinery. There's, 7 or 6 grapes shown on the model, and we just let you keep picking and picking and picking until you've exhausted it. But the number you get is random based on your farming level. Thing is, to expand the skill all the way up to 99, making the player gradually better at it is great, but I think they'd like to have something to kind of see as a milestone as well, in much the same way that that level where you can get double natures, it's a thing to aim for. And when runecrafting was changed in like 2008 or 9 to give you a chance of double natures increasing all the way up to that level, people felt that the milestone didn't really matter anymore because they'd been nearly getting double natures for the last 5 levels leading up to it. So it went down really badly. So along with that, we still need the kind of milestones to treat as a goal to give you something to focus on.
Makes sense.
Sorry, I've got a really bad headache today.
All right. Roll Deep says, can you discuss the Revenant Caves in 07 separately from the player versus player armor, but also discuss those variations of those? Makes sense?
Oh, I didn't get that all, Chris.
We got the first half. Revenant Caves, can you talk about them and separating them from player versus player armors?
Okay.
So Rev Caves is something that happened in, I think, 2008.
Yeah, so something like that. The
Somewhere
Rev
around
Caves were basically, or the Revenants originally were supposed to be the replacement for PKs in the wilderness. That's right, yeah? Am I getting
The
that right?
replacement?
The Revenants in 2007 were
Yeah.
meant to be the replacement for PKs in
Yes,
the
that's right,
wilderness
yeah.
because you couldn't PvP in there anymore with the trade restriction.
Yeah,
Right.
and then we stuck them all in a cave when
Yeah,
the
when
PvP came back.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
When the wilderness and free trade came back, it was like, where should we put these ghosts? Dig a hole, shove them down the hole. Right.
Yeah.
So it was a very popular moneymaker for a lot of player versus monster people deep in the wilderness where PKers could go and try to kill them. Everybody made money unless you were dying. And they dropped these really, really nice, I loved them, player versus monster, player versus player, armors and weapons. Nobody else likes them, they're OP. But yeah.
So in terms of doing it separately, the question is what they drop instead that makes it worth you going to the wilderness and playing with ghosts that behave like that.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's the thing. If people enjoyed fighting them and killing them, then that's a reason to do them. If they only enjoyed killing them to get the items, then we probably ought to think of a different way of getting those items if the players want those items. And I think we've seen previously that PvP armour, etc., is unlikely to pass a poll any time. So that's the big question, really.
As for their game mechanics, what they mostly do is kind of shift backwards and forwards diagonally, the kind of like weird kiting ghosts. I don't think that was the appeal.
Yes, yeah, and I get that feeling too.
I know Ronan and Jed have been working on something I've had my hand in a little bit, but I've seen they've made some good progress on a potential idea revolved around something similar to the Rev Caves, but they wouldn't certainly be offering player versus player armor and weapons, so we'll have to see what we can come up with or what you guys can suggest for a better drop. But yeah, I do like the idea. I always like the idea of getting more people in the wilderness.
Absolutely.
So some time back, Ronan pitched this vague thought that hadn't been fully developed yet, but it involved the Slayer Dart spell, that magic dart spell that's on the Slayer staff, making that do enough damage to be worth using ever, but instead of using the existing runes, it required a different ingredient that was obtained in the wilderness. If there was a reason to go to a Revenant cave and it was worth it for the risk of going there, then we could make that work without having to introduce the armours, the PvP armours and the brawling gloves that people don't seem to want in 07.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go to the next question then. Seven says, can gargoyles see a drop table update?
Are they bad? I guess they think they're bad.
Well, this is the first time I've seen a complaint in a while, so...
I think as soon as I hit gargoyles, I think I just block them anyway because they're not actually that. I don't find them that useful in terms of drops or as a Slayer task. So
We'll see if the chat explodes. A lot of yeahs.
Yeah.
Don't know the yeah. I mean, I'm not following this yet.
Would make sense to then, I guess, if they are underpowered or are not good enough.
Probably
Have a
doesn't
look
take
at- have a
long to
look
give
at
them a
them.
look, yeah. All right, Chrysselia says, can we please get the blacked out areas of the map finished? I would love for the desert and Mayor Ditch areas to be opened up. So I think
I'll be up for that.
you kind of said this earlier.
Yeah, the view distance only goes so far, so we'd only need to extend it by one map tile and not really put much on there. But it's just finding time to squeeze it in. I'd say it'd definitely be after we release raids, so no time soon. And we're doing a big remapping job around that time, so maybe if we have time we can fit it in there too. But it's more just finding the time for that. I think we've got other more pressing things in the immediate future.
If we were expanding, say, the edge of Sophenum and the Menopause area, it would make a lot of sense if it was not just for the sake of having a bit more sand at the edge of this, but for the sake of it being on some content.
Yeah.
Like if we were doing some desert content and or expanding that storyline, because Lord knows that quest don't seem to go anywhere.
Indeed, yeah.
how long has it been since we haven't had anything in that area? You've only got one town out of the two.
Well, Ignorance Little Helper came out in, what, 2005?
Would have been quite a while ago.
I think you're the one that's going to know that.
Then there was the Contact quest. That was more recent to us, but it doesn't use Menopause anyway. All it has is a cutscene where you go to the gate, where you see people go to the gate and get told to go away again. And there's nothing in there.
Does RS3 even have Menopause yet? No.
Nope.
Oh, let's beat him to it. Let's do it. Next week. Prioritize it.
So if we had something useful to put in it, then that would be totally worth having.
Yeah.
Put a new
Any
continent.
ideas of what, though? aside from just something.
Well, a quest would be
Okay.
nice.
Yeah.
Quest with the city.
When Zaya was probably about 6 or 8 weeks before release, when we did Let's Design Zaya, a lot of people were commenting in the chat that we should expand either Prifidinus or Menaphos. Those are the sort of two things that people are really passionate about. So I think Menaphos would definitely like resonate with people if we expanded that, and it would kill two birds with one stone.
And failing all else, if we needed something really quickly, we could just have a really, really good source of sand in the desert. In Menaphos.
Make some sand monsters that have taken over Menaphos. Sand demons.
Some crabs, maybe.
Sand crabs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sand crab army, sand crab boss. There we go. More into big things. Let's
Yeah,
go
I
to the
still
next
quite like the
question.
idea. We'll talk about Prifidinus that you mentioned earlier. I quite like the idea of doing something in Prifidinus as well, and having from how I remember Prifidinus evolving, it comes from a seed where they had to do something special, have something surrounding this seed in there before the actual city being there, and have some sort of quest line going down that route of what they do around this seed, rather than actually making it grow, but protecting it from something, or bringing it, or germinating the seed so it's ready to grow when we get to that sort of part of the storyline, which would be quite a cool thing to do.
In the Within the Light quest, which came, of course, after the Old School days, it's revealed that the city of Prifidinus has reverted to seed for security reasons or something. So what you're describing is getting it out of that seed form again, in the same way that you can turn a seed into a bow, someone turn it into a city.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is it worth a straw poll on Prifidinus or Menaphos?
It's a very
Or
big,
neither.
big straw poll.
Or neither?
Yeah, why not? Why not?
I mean, it's,
Well, what is this? Is this
it doesn't
Prifidinus
count
versus
for
Menaphos?
anything other than to gauge opinion, does it, on this occasion?
Yeah, I'm just saying if people say, oh, this got 90%, that means drop everything else and do it.
Yeah, we won't drop everything else
No,
and do
we
it,
won't,
so that's
yeah.
fine.
Why not? We've already
So,
offered them a straw poll.
can
Let's do
Maz
it.
spell Prifidinus?
Put the Elf City place.
Elf
Technically
City
not a
Is
versus-
it-
city yet, though.
Is it going to be what would you rather see, an update to Prifidinus or Menaphos?
If we were doing one of these, which would it be?
Right, okay. Well, that straw poll will be in the chat for you guys momentarily. Get ready to vote. Let's go to the next question then from Boulder Falcon. Says, can sabotaging in Castle Wars be addressed? One thing some players are doing to harass others is by dropping barricades in remote corners of the map so teammates can't use them elsewhere. I've seen this. It's been coming up a very long time now. People have been harassing, but it's only a matter of, well, to what scale and how big a deal really is it, and what can we do to stop it? So let's talk about the barricade issue. Is there anything?
So it sounds like at the moment it's limited to a certain amount of barricades per team.
Yeah, it's 10 per team, isn't it?
If we were to change that to a per player count, to obviously more, or with a cap or something similar, but 10 doesn't seem like a lot.
You really mess with the fundamental mechanics of the game. I don't know, it's tough.
Or can we have the same amount of barricades and limit how many a player can use?
We could track the number a player has set up in that one game and have a cooldown on it so that it kind of counts down again if they don't set anything up for a while. We could change the maximum number that teams allowed if whatever that would do to the game isn't a bad thing.
If you're playing
but
hidden... Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say we're very, very cautious changing something that's part of the tactics of Castle Wars.
Yeah.
The other thing as well is they like to put these barricades in certain places. There is sort of almost an optimal way of putting these barricades down. How about if instead of picking up a barricade, it's almost like player-owned housing, where you pick up the resources, you then build them in the hotspot. That way you can only use them where they're going to be useful.
Yeah. I don't know. Thinking about it, if I grab the flag and there's somebody chasing me, I'm going to plant a barricade so he gets stuck behind it, and that might not be a hotspot.
Yeah, in that case, maybe you could have a count on top of that one as well. So you can always build the barricades where they're useful, so they're not actually going to wasting barricades on other things.
I don't know. I can see a lot of Castle Wars being really fussy with this stuff, but I can't think of anything to make everybody happy. So.
Yeah, it's a difficult one because
very
any
difficult.
change to it changes fundamentally what they're there and used for.
Suppose the barricade timed out quicker. Now, a barricade that you drop while you're running with a flag will interrupt the person behind you, and it doesn't need to be around for very long to make that happen. A barricade that, on the other hand, that's on the other side of the map, well, you know, a minute and a half later, it needn't necessarily still be there. So that would be one thing we could change about them, how long they stay put if left alone.
Okay. Yeah. Putting expiration on them might help a little bit. In the meantime, what?
Those poll results.
Oh, we've got the straw poll results. There
Wow.
if we did one of these, which would you prefer? Prifdinus versus Metaphos, it's 51 to 49%. So,
Better do both then, I
Prifdinus is at
suppose.
51%, I guess. We're doing that one, and there you go. Too bad, Metaphos.
Yeah, we're doing both next week.
Yes, admittedly, what you will find in Metaphos is a sandpit, and what you'll find in Prifdinus is...
Big lot of green stuff with a lump in the middle of it.
Yes,
And elf. Just an elf.
Somebody,
yes, singing.
somebody did tweet just before the stream a question I didn't include. He said, "Do you plan on changing Prifdinus in the next 10 years?" So I don't know. Maybe in the 9th year we'll have a patch of grass.
We actually did change Prifdinus not that long ago.
Yeah,
When
that's
Zaya
true,
came
yeah.
out, we added the north coast of it, and somebody didn't do the blocking quite right, and the players walked in, didn't they?
Hey, don't look at me.
I'm not looking at you. I know who did it. It wasn't you.
Chris was looking at me. He looked very
Yeah,
suspiciously
you're
at me.
looking guilty there, Chris.
This was me. All right. Okay, back to the Castle Wars issue real quick. If anybody's experiencing issues like this, feel free to record it and send it to me via Twitter. That's usually the best way to get in touch with me, and include names, and we're happy to look into things.
Yeah, one thing I've been talking to player support about this morning, in fact, which I haven't told anybody about yet, is a new harassment rule in game that we're going to try and get so that you can report people directly in game for any sort of harassment, and then we can build up things to investigate directly from there, so you won't even have to send stuff in.
Okay.
But that's going to take a bit of work to
Much
get done,
easier.
but hopefully we can get them moving on that.
Well, the good thing is if it involves a change to the report abuse interface, that's quite easy to change
Yes.
our rules to these
Yeah,
days.
yeah.
I sort of rewrote it a while back.
Yes, it's that's the easy bit. I think it's creating the new rule so that it actually goes from, because this is how it works, report interface, abuse interface, reports something, it then goes into our system that then points that report towards something which then somebody can see. And it's getting that bit done. So the information from in-game and then creating a report with this new thing on it which goes off to the right place is the difficult thing.
And if you're wondering, it's the fact that these little things keep coming up that involve things the game hasn't done before,
Yeah.
that frequently involve some engine work out of the blue,
Yes.
which keep pushing back all the things that you guys might like to see from the engine team,
Exactly.
sadly. That's why we are recruiting for another engine developer. Please apply if you can work in this country and program in Java.
I think, quite frankly, we'll take them from anywhere.
Can we actually get people from outside the EU
Yeah,
for this?
I think we can for this, yeah.
That's interesting. I didn't think software developer was on the list of approved jobs.
Yeah, no, I think we can for this.
Cool.
Ooh. Okay. Well, let's go to the next question. Blue Hot Dog says, let me actually do this real quick so I can read it. Could the high gamble table in Barbarian Assault get a buff? As it stands, the whole minigame is mostly for the torso, and there's not much to gain after that. What kind of buff?
The only thing people use it for now is the pet.
Past the torso, yeah.
I meant the
Or the fighter
high
hat, I
gamble.
guess.
Yeah. And even then, that's a ridiculous chance of getting it.
Very, very, very rare.
We could do a public high scores for the number of gambles you've done.
Yeah.
Wouldn't exactly help, but
Something.
it would keep them busy.
Somebody will want to be at the top of it, won't they?
Not sure what else we could offer. Again, yeah, if you have any suggestions. This is one of those ones where it's a good idea, good question, but there's nothing to follow up with.
There's always resources they want more of. Zamorak wines and such like. I'd really like to do Zamorak wines from the vinery, but I wouldn't rule out this instead if players really wanted it that way.
Okay. Got one for Mod Matt K here.
No.
Alf Engels says, may we have more help on Crack the Clue?
No.
He asked nicely.
He didn't say please.
He didn't.
See?
Had you said please, it could have been solved by now.
Yeah.
For what it's worth, he has assured me that we didn't forget to upload it.
I do not do the uploading or the coding. That's my get out clause for that.
And I didn't do this one either, but we are assured it's up there somewhere.
Kieran did it all. It's fine, but yeah, no, there's no clues. Sorry, you're on your own.
He's not here today because he's gone and dug it up.
Do you
Yeah.
want to explain what you tweeted, I think, on Tuesday?
Oh, I tweeted on Tuesday because it's based on a helmet that that was discovered in a place called Sutton Hoo, which is an old Viking burial ground, or a burial ground from Viking times. And when we first came up with the idea for the thing, I sent a picture to you, I think it was, and said, I want a helmet that looks like this. So he made a helmet that looked like that, which was exactly the same. So I was like, all right, fair enough.
Oh, it's Connor that made
Was
that
it Connor?
helmet.
Oh,
It
okay,
was, yeah.
Connor. Sorry, Connor. So yeah, a nice cool helmet, and so I tweeted out a picture from when I went and visited it, and put in there, ice you plead, and just left that as a comment, and everybody went off running around, and it was just an anagram of the Latin word for herring, and the picture was of a red helmet, so it was a red herring, which meant it meant nothing, and that got people excited for a bit.
There you go.
Especially because not everyone in the team knew what a red herring was.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
You like wasting people's time.
Oh, I thought it was a bit fun.
Somebody
They
figured it
enjoyed
out within like 10 minutes, though.
They did, yeah. Chap got it pretty quickly. It was quite
You guys are
straightforward.
quick with it. Okay. Seven says, can we change the noted bars from Metal Dragons in Brimhaven to be a hard requirement?
What did we put it on?
I believe it's elite.
Elite.
Which
I
is,
like it elite.
I think they want it to try to compete with other popular money-making methods, wyverns, etc. So that would be quite.
Because aviancies are on the hard diary.
Yeah.
But I think that diary is harder to get, isn't it?
I don't remember all the stats for these things anymore.
I know, the Karamda Elite is 91 runecraft, I think.
Hmm.
So, it's quite a hell of a lot to get for some noted steel bars.
Yeah, and yet you can get quite a lot of them. Well, if players are up for voting for the thing to have its requirement reduced, we can reduce the requirement. They've not typically given a lot of support when we offer to reduce requirements before.
Yeah. I've seen, I mean, I read the same discussion as well, and there's an awful lot of people saying, actually, no, because the diaries are so different, well, it makes sense to be where it is.
Oh, okay.
So I think if it was to go to a poll, it would probably sit there at probably 74.5%, and
Oh, I wouldn't even. No.
Well, we could always offer to flip it with that Karamja General Store.
All right. Next question. Swoon says, why was the Elder Chaos Druid hood not released? We wanted a full set. Yeah, why didn't you make the hood?
The Elder Chaos Druid set. Can't even remember which set that was.
I don't know if you guys worked on that one.
Yeah,
I think Jed was adapting the NPC model, which is, by the way, what we wrote in the blog that we would do. And since the hood of that did not suit other player kits, I think he left it off.
Jed has said that he would like to add the hood in. I don't know when he plans on doing it, but he would like to.
I don't know what he plans to do to the POH costume room if he succeeds in this.
Apparently, Jed would like to make the hood, so there you go.
Well, he wanted to make the hood before launch. I guess he wasn't able to.
That seems like a small job. If people really want it that bad, I can knock up a hood in a couple of minutes. That'll be fine.
knock out a hood.
Knock up a hood, like raise
A
a
whole
bar.
hood?
Yeah, a whole hood. Yeah.
All right.
Actually, no, half a hood. Then they'll get the other half of the hood the following week.
What?
Next question. OSRS Ranger says, any plans to add more crystal equipment?
I mean, it looks pretty, doesn't it?
Well, now we've changed the behaviour of some of these things that are untradeable and drop on the ground during PvP. We can actually look at doing more with crystal than we could before.
It could be the Prifdinus thing we spoke about earlier ties in nicely with the sort of thing from there. Unlocking Prifdinus armour.
Yeah, in addition to
Crystal
the
armour.
shield and bow, you can get a city
Wear it on your head and walk around with it.
and get a POH wall kit based on it.
Well, let's finish the crystal armor set. We've given them the shield. Let's make a plate body. You know, make a crystal plate and legs and degradable, but really good. But
I'm
I
not
don't
sure
know.
you should be wearing kind of semi-see-through trousers like that.
We give them the
It'll be
Andrew outfit.
frosted. It'll be frosted. Fine.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys can think of something cool.
They
for
thought of a
armor.
crystal bucket and a crystal AGS.
Yeah. Crystal claws. Yeah.
Crystal staff. Ooh.
Crystal ballista.
There's not really much room for staves.
They like the idea of the crystal walls for POH.
Yes.
Mm.
That'd be quite
That
cool.
would be nice.
Crystal flowers.
All right. Next question. Maui Dude says, can Teleblock receive a chat box notification like the anti-fire potion?
Probably.
Is that to say when it's expiring?
When you are, I would assume when you are teleblocked.
Doesn't it already?
I literally put that right here, and I'm like, I don't have time. I was in a rush today.
See, what we did with the anti-fire potion was give you warnings when it was about to wear off, which is why I think that they might.
Okay,
want
that
one
makes
of
much
those.
more sense then.
So what we could do, right? At the moment, the teleblock spell is working on a minute-long clock. It's counting minutes, and therefore, if you get teleblocked halfway through a minute, then you might get, 30 seconds less teleblock time than if you were teleblocked at the start of the minute. And if you teleblocked at the end of the minute, you get a much shorter one. And the developer just went with this because it's very efficient to write. I guess he was prioritising efficiency over having an exactly predictable duration. But if we reworked it so that it used a more accurate clock and was accurate to like 7 seconds the way PK skulls are, then we could give this kind of countdown notification a lot more usefully, and also be more predictable how long you were teleblocking someone for if you shot them with it.
So the person who's teleblocked would receive a message saying you're no longer teleblocked. Would the person who cast it get a message saying the player you teleblocked is no longer teleblocked?
Given that it's been a couple of minutes, are they still there?
Probably trying to kill him, sure.
Have to see whether we can make the game store the owner of the teleblock in a reasonable way.
All right. Cash Cobra, next question says, can granite malls automatically kill gargoyles so you don't need the rock hammer? It is essentially a big rock hammer.
It is a big rock hammer, yes.
Maz managed to write a feature like that for the Brine Saber and the Rock Slugs, therefore the same code could be used to do it with the Granite Maul and the Gargoyles.
So the rock hammer, is it actually a hammer made of rock? Or is it a hammer made to destroy rock?
It's a
Because they're
hammer with
different
a rock
things.
mallet.
Both.
Right, okay.
Right. Wait.
So I remember watching Shawshank Redemption when he gets a rock hammer. And that isn't made of rock. Or you.
No, it's not made of me.
Yeah, but he wasn't fighting gargoyles.
He wasn't fighting. Well, mind you, saying that, I've seen some of the people in that film. Have you not seen it, Shawshank Redemption?
I probably have.
You
I
must
just
see it. It's a
don't
wonderful
remember
film.
Yeah.
I've not seen that.
Andy
I should see
Dufresne.
it. Yeah, I should see it.
Brilliant film. Want to watch it?
So the rock hammer in Shawshank Redemption is presumably to break apart rocks,
Yes.
and the rock hammer in our game is presumably made of rock.
To kill
To
gargoyles.
kill rocks with.
I
So
see.
both.
Right.
A bit confusing, isn't it?
Let's grab a question from the chat, I think.
Yes, we have been ignoring them for a while.
So Pistols Gaming says, in a previous live stream you mentioned the idea of adding a grayed out spec bar for every weapon in the game, therefore the delay from switching between weapons wouldn't be as big a deal. Can we
Yep.
see it? So essentially something like the Carol's Crossbow doesn't have a special bar. It's a little bit, you have to wait if you're switching from the Carol's Crossbow, say, to a Granite Maul, you have to wait for that spec bar to show up before you can click it immediately. So a grayed out one would allow you to instantly switch to that spec without the delay.
It's quite easy. In fact, Kira was asking me yesterday how to do it, and I told him just remove the line that's hiding the thing. Whether it would have exactly the effect they want about letting you click it while it's still greyed out, not quite sure, but we could try and make it possible.
Okay.
At the very least, we could show it, because there's no particular reason to conceal how much energy they got.
If we can't make them click it, I would suspect we can make them show them how much special they have so that they would know sooner when to switch.
Yes, that's what I was.
That's what he said, yeah.
That's what I meant.
Um,
I mean, at the moment, we kind of conceal how much energy they've got unless they're using another client, and by leaving that bar visible all the time, then we've got no problem with that.
okay. Same reaction from the chat as the last time, I believe. Not many of them too in favor of it. It's really only for a handful of PKers, myself included. But yeah.
It's simplified the code, funnily enough. At the moment, we've got some extra code in there to hide it.
All right, next question then is from Hero Light. Says, can we get this unscathed anti-dragon shield put back into the game instead of the one with scratches on it? Don't know if we have the image for this. It's the anti-dragon fire shield
I
without the scratches
suspect
on it.
editing the model to remove the scratches would be extremely easy.
It should be. Depends what will be regardless, but yeah.
I don't think I gave you guys that image, sorry.
No, we didn't.
That is my fault. You guys know what it looks like. It's the orange shield without
I'm
scratches.
sure that scratches.
Are the scratches
Do some people prefer
old
the
school, or,
scratches?
yeah, do you want
or
the
not?
cleaner version?
I think in the Quest improvement project of like early 2007, the Quest was quite heavily rewritten by Mod John A. And one of the things that came up with was that if this anti-dragon shield you've got is meant to have been, you know, a treasured relic of old days that you've dug out of the Duke's storage or whatever, it should look a bit like it's been used. So it looks like it's been used. That said, for everyone who'd already done the quest, they didn't know what dialogue had been added. All they knew is that their big stack of anti-dragon shields in their bank suddenly looked like something happened, like Wolverine's been at them or whatever.
Do you guys like a straw poll for that?
I'm up for it.
Sure. Yeah. Do you guys prefer the anti-dragon shield as it is right now with the scratches on it, or would you prefer a cleaner version without the scratches?
I personally prefer cleaner. As soon as we start to add scratches and dirt to things,
It's already got the scratches.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, if someone were to create an asset and say like try to add scratches and dirt to things, it automatically just makes it look too busy, and we're just better off with cleaner, precise geometry.
I disagree.
My personal opinion.
Fully. No.
It
you
looked
really?
lovely in Classic.
100%. I don't know. I don't really care. I don't use it.
Actually, in Classic, was it sort of like a clean design, or was it actually
Extremely.
scratched up? Yeah.
They didn't have a lot of, you know, dishevelled, dirty sprites in Classic.
I think with like contemporary games, you see like they definitely put a lot of effort to make things look dirty and worn and antique, just because you can do that with those kind of engines. But with our engine, like the cleaner look is definitely way better for all our assets.
Okay. You heard it from the artist.
It must
Makes
be
more
true.
sense.
You'd
It's
be right as well.
50-50. There you go.
Strikes me we may as well just leave the darn thing alone and maybe find a request for something that isn't just cosmetic.
I feel like there'd be some people who'd just be very passionate and be like, that's it, I'm quitting. This was the one thing I played for.
Yeah. We could do another quest where you get it repaired.
You get some polyfiller or something.
Shield
What it's
filler.
worth. Ian's been working partly in his spare time, but also a bit of time in between other duties on the expandable screen for the game, so that you can just blow it up and make the game look bigger, a bit like zooming in, really. But for interfaces and text and stuff. And at the moment, the sprites for items, they're probably quite small on your screen, so you don't really need to worry about what they look like in too much detail. But I suppose Ian's making really quite good progress on this, and he's got a very nice algorithm for smoothing the text to make it blow up but not pixelate, despite us not having vector fonts. So when that comes out, it might actually be more worth examining the models like this again.
People will be able to find those green pixels that all dotted around.
It's funny that I went looking for it on his screen and it wasn't there.
The construction icon has a purple pixel in the middle of it.
Is it
doesn't
really?
it? Yeah.
It
Or
wasn't
maybe
me.
it's green.
No, it's green.
It's green.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, but it wasn't there when he blew it up. I mean, there's a great big one on the woodcutting icon. That's got quite a lot of green pixels.
I have to speak to him and see if he's up for doing a sneak peek of the week segment with that, or if he wants to wait until full release and keep it a secret. But very exciting stuff. Cool, let's go to the next question then. Slaymaster says, to Mod Matt K, we now have over 500 maxed players on Old School. It's time to see an HLF, high-level forums section for Old School.
We looked at, we're looking at getting a new community manager in, and one of their roles will be to spend a bit more time on the forum, so that might be something they'll do.
Okay. Moving on.
Easy question, easy answer.
Yeah, I look forward to that.
Yeah.
Tilde says, will we see more underwater content, such as fighting fish and other dangerous sea creatures?
Well, they know we've got the graphics for that area just that's sitting in the blackness just south of the Saradomin encampment of God Wars. And we've posted a few screenies of it. It looks quite lovely, in fact, and I would love for us to use that war kit to make an expandable and releasable area.
Does look really nice.
And it's got some NPCs, like the anglerfish. In fact, we thought about using the anglerfish as the second of our Slayer monsters back in 2014. Then somebody did Smoke Devils instead.
What content would you want to attach it to?
If we do that sailing and
Sailing,
dungeoneering
cool.
idea, yeah, I don't know.
Make that blinking diving helmet useful again.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, next question. There should be an image with this one. No, sorry, that's the next one. Scaper says, with Dungeoneering receiving the most votes on the priority poll, does that mean we'll be polling it soon?
No. The whole point about the priority poll was to find out what sort of things the players wanted. So it's not a case that just because it's on there, that's what we're going to do. It'll help us sort of understand what sort of things are important to you, why the sort of things are important to you as well, and how we can deliver more of the content you want. For example, dungeoneering, the next obvious question to ask is why do you want dungeoneering? What's important about it? Is the raid stuff we have going to be what you want to, what will satisfy you from the dungeoneering aspect or not? It all boils down to what the next set of questions or what you're actually saying. So there's more investigation to be done, but it doesn't mean we're going to poll for dungeoneering.
Even if we did, I very much doubt we could recreate that skill as it was.
Absolutely.
Because it had a lot of custom graphics for all the NPCs and all the attacks and spells of those NPCs, and all the rooms and all the slightly animated wiggly trees that you could see animate in the background when you loaded an area. And just recreating all those graphics and all the code that went with them is the kind of thing the entire team could spend a whole year doing, if not more, instead of any other updates at all. So I think the idea of saying, oh, well, players want dungeoneering, bam, there's dungeoneering exactly as you loved it in the old days, that's not something we can give you, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Also had some really nice rewards.
It had some really big rewards.
Yeah.
There's debate about whether they were nice or...
Oh, they were nice.
But again, if the rewards are what people want from it, you don't need a whole skill to give those rewards. So that's another way to look at it.
And if the rest of the skill was what you wanted and you didn't like the rewards, well, we don't have to do those.
Yeah, exactly. So lots and lots of questions to ask first before we can decide on dungeoneering, whether we should be doing it or not.
Given that half the comments I've seen are yay dungeoneering and the other half are we hate dungeoneering, please make it never happen and guarantee it will never happen.
Yes.
I don't really see that getting 75%.
No, me neither. No.
It can be very difficult to please all the parties in that situation because people who might not like dungeoneering might say, no way, summoning was way better. But then the people who like dungeoneering say, no way, summoning was way better.
Yeah.
So if we were to say one or the other, it would just be chaos.
The thing about summoning and dungeoneering is people understand what it is. So we put it on a thing saying what's important to you. They're going to jump to the top because people immediately understand what they are. So they're like, I understand that. Less of the best of these evils. I will choose the one I understand most. And that's fair enough way of voting.
Summoning's a real mixed bag for that one. I mean, I was asking, okay, so you say you love summoning. What was it you love about summoning? Because the process of walking to an obelisk with a pocket full of stuff and then walking back to the bank with a pocket full of different stuff may not be the bit you liked about summoning, even though that's how you train summoning. So the answers I got back included things like, gathering the charms actually was fun. Meant you went to monsters that you wouldn't otherwise go to, like those roaches in the dungeon under Edgeville. And so you'd train in more places. Some of the random junk in the game got a use at last, like the proboscis thing for mosquitoes. And also some of the familiars were fun to have around. The yak maybe was a bit excessive, and that unicorn in God Wars was kind of notorious. On the other hand, you might be the player who liked that kind of thing and thought that was what the game should be. Summoning has so many aspects to it that people might turn out to love, that if people turn out to really favour summoning, we'd spend a very long time trying to work out which bit.
Yes, indeed.
All right. Next question then. Jason says, address the balancing issues regarding the Ring of the Gods and the Ring of Suffering. So, Ring of Suffering is better defensive in prayer. I believe it ties for best prayer as well. So it devalues the Ring of the Gods, is the argument. So they'd like to see some buffs to the Ring of the Gods, I think. I'm going to go through just a couple of his suggestions. You guys can let me know what you think. So restores 1 prayer point per minute is one idea. Burying Bones gives prayer points when equipped, similar to the Catacombs now. Imbued versions stack with the Holy Wrench effect. Make it as a faction item for every God Wars dungeon. Some very interesting ideas there. What's the verdict? You can't just say yes to that.
Yes.
Which one?
I was pointing at Rock because he does. He's a QA tester.
Yeah, I'm definitely happy with the buff to the prayer because that was the whole point of having the ring, and then with the new ring, obviously that's kind of negated it. The prayer point per minute and the bones, that sounds a little too much, in my opinion. A bit too OP for the ring.
It's especially powerful in a game with prayer flicking.
Yes. Stacking with the Holy Wrench effect, I like that. It obviously gives a better use for the Holy Wrench. What was the last one? It's
Making it as a faction for the Godver's dungeon.
that
To
in
replace
itself.
that doesn't sound too overpowered. Like, to replace your ring and
Well,
Godver's?
now we've got the blessings. You've got a better chance. You can take a better object with you. So, replace people probably want to take either the Warrior Ring or the Berserker Ring or something like that, as opposed to Ring of the Gods, I would think.
Yep.
So I think we like the wrench thing.
Yes, I'm quite happy to go with the wrench thing and the prayer buff.
I think we might be in luck there because when I last did a bug fix involving the wrench thing, I tried to centralise all its codes so that in future updates to it, we wouldn't have to go through trawling through all the obscure places anymore. So it might be relatively easy to implement.
I really liked that question because he had a question, but then he said, here are some of the things you could do to make that better. And there
Exactly.
are some really good ideas.
Makes
And
an
pictures.
awful lot better.
And a
Better
picture.
discussion.
Yeah, everybody's happy. Another picture coming up. Abyssal Dagger buff. This is a bit of a gem. It's been out for over a month or so. I don't think we went over the idea. So the Abyssal Dagger's been getting some hate because a lot of people think it can't keep up. So this special attack buff would teleport you to your target within a reasonable distance, I would certainly hope, and hit twice with increased accuracy and 50% special attack. So same spec, but you would teleport to your target. So it would help if your target's trying to run away, or maybe strategically placing yourself somewhere in a fight.
I'm what you might call very, very cautious about us trying to program an item that teleports you from an arbitrary place to another arbitrary place. It's the kind of thing that leads to a lot of exploits.
Yeah, I mean, the concept behind it makes an awful lot of sense because that's what the Abyssal Demons do. But yeah, I do worry about that side of things.
Where could this be abused? Where would this be? Where would somebody say, oh, that would be really overpowered here?
Well, the point isn't about where it be overpowered. The point is about where somebody managed to make it do something that we really didn't expect at all.
Right.
Or, you know, if you use it and they've left the wilderness and suddenly you follow them out of the wilderness and try and do it there, that's, just for a start, the kind of thing we might have an accident with.
You attack somebody who teleports, you teleport there as well.
I'm not looking so much at places where it does more damage or gives you a massive advantage in combat. I'm looking at places where it suddenly gets you into a place where we really needed you not to go, and breaks rules like that.
What about perhaps with what Abyssal Demons do at the moment? Is they teleport one square around you, and also stall your attack, your attack animation, so you have to physically click them again.
Yeah.
So perhaps if the player was beside you, it would act like how the Abyssal Demon mechanism works.
Wow, that would be very cussed. But yes, we could do that.
Is that much of a buff? Where's that going to help, really, aside from...
If it's stored in their attack,
Yeah.
Not stall as such, it just interrupts it,
Yeah.
so they have to physically interact
let's
again.
make sure it can't stack, otherwise we'll have another Dragon Spear issue upon us.
I'm already seeing rushing with this. But it is an interesting idea, and it makes sense, so...
We could just make the thing really, really accurate.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go to the next one then. The fourth stapler says, can we change the male armadillo chestplate and chain skirt to this? So as you're about to see, the male chestplate and plate skirt of armadillo currently shows a little bit too much skin for this guy's liking.
It depends if they like seeing their avatars midriff.
We tried changing the helm once, didn't we?
Change the female.
Yeah,
I
The
think.
female helm was changed to have that yellow crest on top and the beaky kind of beak.
That's right. And I spent a whole afternoon getting that ready and on social media discussing it with people, and it still failed to pass the poll.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's worth it's nice that people submit this, but I think it wouldn't go down very well.
Is,
So they've said they only want the male one changed to not show any thigh or tummy. Did they explain why only the male one?
I'm assuming because they play as a male character. I must admit, I have to agree, because when I used the rock shell plate body, it always left you with this little bit of your stomach showing, and I was like, don't want that.
Do you not like belly tops, Chris?
No.
Do you not wear them often?
Not often enough, apparently.
Isn't Armadillo also part of our high poly setup as well? So it'd have to be.
I don't know if Armadillo is. I wouldn't suspect so, because if you look at it, it's quite basic.
The good thing is that we could change it without changing the number of polys involved, because you just take the bits that are flesh toned and make them grey.
Yeah, I mean, it's not such a bigger thing as remodelling something to recolour something, but I just don't know if it'd really get anywhere near passing.
Well, it would be a fair poll with the before and after pics. It just doesn't grab me.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go to the next one then. Camelot says, can we get an option to either hide other players from the right-click interface or click through them when using an item on the environment?
Engine.
Is a quick
Please
answer.
apply to join us as an engine developer.
Yeah, you could make that change yourself. Have faith. 07scape, can throwing axes in general be buffed?
The only use the throwing axe has at the moment is the Room 1 getting into DKs, I think.
We wanted to see if we could do that with the Kraken boss, the 4 whirlpools, see if we could make the thing ricochet, which turns out not to be very easy after all, but it would be cool if we could pull this off.
He does attach an idea, but I didn't say it because it would have brought immediate hate, so I'm going to say it now. So the higher the tier, the longer the freeze lasts. So Bronze Axe, 3-second freeze, Iron Axe, 4-second freeze, etc. But I kind of like the idea of having it useful in certain places like Kraken.
Well, that would make the rune one useful. For all the other ones, an idea more like yours, what would probably be necessary.
Yes, they just tend to think very negatively when it comes to freezes, and I don't even know, I don't want to say the name of this weapon. I always say it wrong, apparently. You know the thing that you threw and it froze people?
Yes.
What's the name of it?
No, you tell me.
It's the bowl ass.
The what?
That's what I call it.
What's it called? You call it?
I'm not saying it again.
He said bowl ass.
Well, how do you say it?
Are you talking about Rona's haircut again?
I don't know which bit from you've been looking at, but I call them
I'm pretty sure I'm
bowlers.
saying it. Bowlers.
Yeah.
So I'm saying bowl
it's
ass.
absolutely fine. Yeah, that's fine. Just wanted to do
I
up.
think we broke the chat.
That's what I get for not sounding like everyone else here. Moving on. Univeral says, could the rune crafting pet's color be based on the rune you were crafting when you got it?
Oh, that's quite nice. I like that.
Then they'd want to collect all of them.
Yeah.
Collect
Crazies.
all of them.
Yeah, let's do that. I like that.
We're really going to have to think
I don't
about whether
mind.
menageries can
I
store
honestly
colours in
don't
that case, because currently they can't.
There we go.
Or perhaps when you get the pet, you have to go to every single altar to be able to unlock all the different colours.
I'd prefer something like that, to be honest. That'd make it more accessible.
That takes like no time though.
Well, precisely, but it's.
Could we make it, Ash, so you don't get another pet, but you can just recolour it by going to the appropriate altar?
If we could make the menagerie store what colour it actually was, yes. In
Okay.
fact, there was something not dissimilar with the Rune Guardian follower that RS3 had. I forget what the content was you got it from, but taking mine to the Death Altar and getting it painted that colour was quite a big deal because, well, I could do that and not everyone could.
I don't know. They seem more in favor of the really rare.
Really?
What's
That's
the
what I
least
think,
rare craft? What's the least rune crafted rune? I'm gonna ask because I definitely don't know.
Air?
Soul.
Water.
None of us know. This
Water
is good.
could well be it. There's a lot of them in the game. They're not draining out the game very fast and they're not much XP.
But the most common
No pun
ones are
intended.
fires, lavas,
Let's see if the
astrals.
chat knows.
Natures.
Body. Body's a good,
Yeah,
good
body.
bet.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
body's a good one.
So there's going to be like one guy in game that's going to get the body rune crafting pet, and that will be an incredible accomplishment.
So you're saying they have to get the pet roll on the altar and then they unlock that colour.
Yeah, you have to be rune crafting at that altar.
I do like that. The fact. I mean, it doesn't even have to be a different colour. They could be a different pet individually.
There's a
No,
lot of
different
different
pet
we'll
Well-
stick to different colours. That is fine.
What shape are they anyway, do we know? Do we have a thought of that?
The rock golem, was it? Or
What, again? We didn't use that for something else.
is that not rune
It
crafting?
doesn't make sense
That's
for rune
mining.
crafting.
Oh, is it mining? Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's
fair
a
enough.
minor thing.
That makes sense why you did turn it
Could it
from
just be a
grey
rune
to
rolling
brown.
like a wheel?
What, just a rune that follows you?
Yeah, it just
Roll.
rolls.
I like saying that. It's rune that just
Or maybe one
on
of
legs,
those...
like a little spider rune.
Well, in essence, one of the things for the Abyss would be a fairly easy choice, although recolouring those would look curious.
Yeah.
A little walking pouch that just follows you around would be awesome.
Pouch pet? Essence pet? What do you guys think? Somebody will have concepted something in paint, and we'll see it after this stream, so.
The thing with a four-sided head in the abyss is one of my favourite creatures.
Yes, those are weird.
It's called a four-face in the code, I think.
Let's go to this question from Camel, who says, what is animal husbandry? Something many of us asked when Matt said, let's put that on the priority poll.
Ronan actually said put it on the priority poll, so it wasn't me.
Okay.
They can't blame me for that one.
Was he
Animal
trolling?
husbandry is just bringing up animals and growing animals, growing pigs, growing cows, growing chickens. It's just being a
Livestock.
Is it arable? I can't remember which way around it is.
Arable is farming crops.
Is it? What's the other one then?
I have no idea. Maz, do you know what the
get
term
arable-
is for farming animals?
You get arable farming and the other
Is it
farming.
pastoral?
Pastoral, yeah, pastoral
So
farming.
you farm your own resources, I think.
Yeah, so
And-
effectively you would literally, the way I see it working is you would have a baby pig that you'd start off with, you'd be given by a farmer somewhere, a baby pig. You'd then have to feed it food and look after it in a little pen until it grows into a big pig. And then you'd have to get 2 of those, and then after time they'd create a baby pig. Just through magic, not through anything adult at all. There would be no sort of bass music in the background. Well, you'd have to bring that one up, and then you could set it off, and you get bacon back, and you could do all sorts of bits and bobs. But that's what I see animal husbandry as: farming animals.
Well, on that note, I've lost track of time,
It's on the screen again.
and I think we're going to send Mod Ghost over to show you
Okay.
guys the first ever raids boss. But hopefully that answered your question of what animal husbandry is.
It's begged some different questions about what goes on around these parts.
We can switch over. Here we go.
Okay, so here we have the first raids boss. As you can see, it's kind of like a trilobite. It's going to be swimming in lava, and it's going to tunnel up through the earth. There won't be just one of them. I can't say too much about the mechanics, but what I can do is show you the various states. So in this state, you can see it'll be protected. Its eyes are closed. We'll make it aware. So its eyes open. I'll just rotate around the model so you can look at it. These flippers on the side will be what it uses to move around on the land. And it moves into an upright position
Whoa.
like this.
Is that its face?
Yeah, so it's got a second pair of eyes and a face underneath. So it's kind of like a symbiont which attaches into this creature. And it's like living fire underneath. We then switch to its third state, where we see the tentacles expand out. Now this will be what it uses to attack you. Now this is the first stage in me creating animations, because what I've actually done here is produce a series of poses. We can just reverse through them. And then from these poses, I'll actually separate these out into different animations, and then I'll develop those animations and show you them in the coming weeks. So I'll just move through these again, and you can just have a quick look around the model. Not all of the bosses in the Raids dungeon, by the way, will be lava themed. I'm going to try and make each one of these bosses really stand out and be individual from one another, using a different colour scheme each time, so you really feel like you've got a sense of variety. And then this is state again. Cool, and we'll send him back to sleep. And that's that. Thank you.
I haven't seen that before.
Me
Well, I
neither.
haven't seen the wavy tentacle bit.
Well, I didn't know which way round it was at first. So it was suddenly when it popped up, what I thought was its bottom and had a big smiley face there. That was quite amazing.
I just want to know why it's not purple.
Oh, we're going to have a varied colour scheme. There will be a boss that looks purple. Purple and blue, maybe.
Why?
It'll be a dead Arceus Elder that's crushed by a cave-in and who's merged itself with the crystals within the cave
Oh, cool.
using the power of the Dark Altar.
That
It
makes
is cool.
sense.
That does make sense. There you go. Okay, guys. I think that's going to sum up the Q&A. Got some questions to save for next week. Aside from that, go ahead and give the stream a follow if you enjoyed. Give the YouTube video a like.
Before we go, don't forget RuneFest is on in 5 weeks, 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
Yeah, 17th September. RuneFest is on, so please, there's tickets still available, so please do go out and buy tickets. That's my set out done.
So
got
come and
some.
see us.
Yeah, it comes to, we'll all be there, I think.
Can I also say as an afterthought, we're going to be starting Let's Design Zaya again on the 18th of August, and that'll be a stream running from 12 o'clock midday GMT all the way to 8 o'clock PM. So we'll be running through the stream. The stream will be like in the middle of it at 5 o'clock at the usual time. We'll have a sneak peek during that as well for people that just watch the stream. And then we'll be continuing afterwards until 8 o'clock PM.
Sure. So that's a massive 8-hour-long
It will
Let's
be.
Design Zaya live stream. You guys will be designing bosses, is
That's
it?
right, yeah. So it'll be me and Connor. We'll have the screens separated, and you'll be able to see us both designing a boss at the same time and taking it right through to the modelling stage, to the animation stage, to having it in-game.
Do they get to watch you like kind of eat lunch in the middle of it as well?
There may be some eating. We can possibly like switch to my monitor while Connor eats, and then back and forth. So no one really
You
wants
don't
to see.
need to eat.
Well, it depends what you're eating and how amusing it is.
Yeah, I suppose. We won't be eating donkey
We'll
sausage.
get some stuff from the canteen, next to what our canteen's like.
Spaghetti.
Yes,
A nice touch.
wonderful.
Like a big
No,
bowl
unmuted
of
Mike spaghetti.
bowl of gazpacho soup,
Wonderful.
boiling hot.
So you can look forward to the soup and spaghetti.
People
and
asking when
3D
again?
modelling.
So
Yeah, that date
eating
again.
stream.
Yeah, the eating stream.
Do you have that date again?
Yes, we do. It's the 18th of August, and that's between 12 o'clock PM, Greenwich Mean Time, to 8 o'clock PM.
Make a note in your calendar. That's going to be
Absolutely.
an awesome stream. Watching them start from just like a block to an awesome boss by the end of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Fantastic.
Okay, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.
Bye bye.